And we're live.
Hello. Here we are.
I'm just going to make sure we're live on Instagram as well. So bear with me, any people who are here or watching in the future. Let me just check. Are we live? Are we live? Yeah.
Are we there?
Are we there?
We go. Yes, I can see it in mine.
Yay!
It says you're
amazing.
Here we are.
Look
at us.
So, hello to anybody joining us now or in the future.
Yes.
I need to mute us there because I can hear me twice. Right. I wonder if we're still able to be heard there as well. But okay. Hopefully, I still can be heard on Instagram as well. But I just don't want to hear twice on here. Anyway.
Yeah. Your echo.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so hello and welcome to Lunar Pumpkin. I am Emily Coucher. I'm an astrologer. Oh dear, that's an astrologer. Intuitive tarot card reader and moon lover, helping you manifest your dreams into reality. And my guest today is Jules. Welcome, Jules.
Hi. Hello. I'm down under. I'm far from where you are. I love that we can connect like this. It's cool. Thank you.
Yeah. It's morning, 9 a.m. in England. And what time is it again?
7 p.m. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So let me introduce you properly. So Jules is an artist and sky gazer, an astrologer of 20 years, painting upon the wisdom of the universe. She supports people to follow their true north, celebrating and navigating, living life in full colour.
Yes.
And through experiences that feel out of the ordinary, transformational and soul-shaping, she uses blended tools, creative engagement, and your natural rhythms to map pathways of potential through seasons and cycles of growth and change.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Changes my middle name. No.
Okay. So tell me your big three, your sun, moon, and rising.
Sun, moon, and rising. So I have a sun in Gemini, a stellium in Gemini, actually.
Same.
And my moon is in Taurus. And then I've got a stellium in Scorpio rising. So hooray for me.
That's why change. That's why change is your middle name, isn't it? Scorpio rising.
Change. That's right. Deep diving into that transformational process. Yeah. Know it well. Celebrate it now. I can celebrate it now.
Yes.
Yeah. 100%. But yeah, that's my big three. So I like to chat. Let's not like pretend that Geminis don't like to chat. That's
exactly.
But there's also
Gemini sun and rising here. Yep.
Like, Scorpio just needs to be like, a little bit more in my safe space, in my sacred soul space sometimes. So there's a nice balance there. And the Taurus moon is just all earth for me. Like, I just love nature. I love the foundational support that we can get from the natural world. And that's a big part of, what I do with Mary Pasita as well. Yeah.
Amazing.
Thanks.
So, okay, what brought you to astrology 20 years ago? And has your approach to helping clients and any continual self-study changed over that time?
Oh, yeah, 100%. Astrology, so in a cheesy way, like I would say astrology found me, but a book found me, and I was quite young. So I was still in primary school. I don't know what you call it there, but I was like only 11, around 10 or 11, when I first read Linda Goodman's star signs. So not even sun signs. I went Linda Goodman's star signs, which is, if you know Linda Goodman's work, there's a lot of information. It's a very thick book. But that was what started my journey. I was actually found, something that really felt like I could understand the world from a different perspective. I was always an explorer. I'd always been, somebody who just had an open mind and knew there was a whole big world and universe out there. But from a young age, I started exploring astrology through Linda Goodman's star signs, and then obviously progressed into other stuff. But by the end of high school, like, I was having pretty intense conversations around astrology transits with anybody who I could find, but it was always, you know, like that Scorpio, you know, rising was always behind closed doors, it was always in secret, you know, like astrology wasn't celebrated like it is now. You know, that's more 30 years ago, actually. And then, yeah, just, you know, through personal development, I actually was more trained in social work, counseling, that type of thing. But astrology has been a part of my journey forever. And I guess, first foundational training or study, because also too, 20 years ago, we didn't have the internet like we have now. We didn't have access to information like we have now. I actually packed up and I started my college, so astrology college. In my early 20s, I was in Seattle. So I was at Kepler College in Seattle. So yeah, literally cross oceans to go and find my people, find where I could connect with the highest source of astrology wisdom, and how to really develop my skill sets and understand how it could actually have beneficial impacts, not only for my own personal journey, but that's when I started to explore how can I use this and share this with the world as well. So that was, so yeah, like I'm 40 this year, so 20 years ago was when I probably started doing chart readings, and I could interpret things a lot easier. I had a lot of foundational knowledge behind me, and it was just really putting into practice by understanding and observing that in others, which took me on the journey of just, you know, deeper, more, before I became fully confident in just being all of me as an astrologer, 100%. Yeah. Yeah. It's very much like, you know, back, as I said, like back then, astrology, where I came from, was like a taboo, you know, like it was, just voodoo stuff. And I was, you know, very much, you know, a social person, an active person. I had a lot of, you know, community connections. I was sporty. I was like party girl, like all that kind of thing. So it wasn't like I was showing up and talking astrology in community. It was finding the people that I could share those conversations with that were going to teach me something early on. And they all were incredible mentors along the way that I had, and just fell into my space, into my path, into my journey. And I just never stopped, really. I, you know, just began and just kept creating, kept learning, absorbing everything. So yeah, early on. What was the second part of that question?
I think I've had a hitch with Instagram, but it's all right. Yeah, so I was trying to sort that, and also listen, and yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's all right. So yeah, it's technology. It'll do. It will come back eventually, maybe. If not, at least we're in two places.
We're somewhere. We're somewhere.
Oh my goodness, I'm not going to break into song right now, but often I do. But yeah, I was thinking of like really.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I love it.
I was thinking of West Side Stories. I was thinking like there's a place for us, somewhere a place for us.
Always a place for us. There's a place for everyone. Yeah.
But yeah, I think the second part was about like self-study and things, but actually you kind of developed your answer anyway, because as you say, if you've gone to lots of different places to study and also seen the taboo of astrology, and then it becomes slightly more mainstream, but also I think it will still always be that slightly unique way of looking at the world. We're looking at timing, but we're also looking at seasons. And if people realize that actually it's a matter of timing and personal development and growth and that sort of thing, it's not that odd. And actually that's back in the day, people used to have to become a medical astrologer before they could become a doctor.
Right.
So actually, we're a lot more aligned with history and nature and developing of like science and medicine than people realize.
Definitely. We were at the king's hand along the way, you know?
Yeah,
Like
it was like, right, consult your astrologer before you
yeah,
decide whether you want to go to war or not.
right? It was it's always, yeah. I think because of the natural, like, I hate using the word power in like it's not an egotistical power. Like there's a natural power. There's a power that comes from the natural world, right? That is part of who we are. It's part of our environment. It's part of us observing these seasons and cycles. And because we've got, so many thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years of history to learn from, when you see and observe these particular cycles appearing in an individual's chart, like there is so much value in being able to translate and assist how, the progressions, the soul progressions of life are actually having an impact on your whole journey. Like, not just right now, like there's a wholeness to the seasons and cycles and how they rhythm. So, outside of it being, a little bit unconventional, I think that when you look back in the history, there was potentially a fear that astrologers knew too much as well. Like let's put that box away. Like let's put them aside. Like they're not going to control or have the power sometimes. So, are you okay? Something happened? I think Emily's just sorting out some technical problems or technical difficulties at the moment. I'm not
Sorry.
sure. That's okay. That's all right.
Right. Can you still hear me?
I can hear you 100%. Yeah.
Right. Okay. I think I sorted it now. Sorry.
Okay. Don't be. You're okay.
I don't know whether I can do that. I think I'm going to. This is really weird. How can you be on Instagram and on here? Oh, that's weird.
I feel like I might just break a song or a dance now to just shift the silence. Sorry, guys. Yeah. So while Em's checking that out, it's a beautiful evening here in Australia. It's probably about 30 degrees. Humidity's probably about 80%, which is what we've been dealing with for a while. We're in summer. Emily is in winter. So this is where too, like, there's so many polarities to consider when looking at charts and seasonal natural world work with astrology, because my seasons are very different to Emily's seasons, or the timing of our seasons. So, like it's so much about connecting with the natural world and connecting with what you observe, what you see, what you feel, how the flowers bloom, how the harvests happen. Like all of this is just beautifully, a part of the big picture of astro. It's not just, you're this or you're that, or this is going to happen. Like, like we watch and we observe the skies and we observe how that plays out here on earth, and I love that, and I will never get tired of that. I will never get tired of gazing. I will never get tired of thinking about things in different ways, abstract ways, different perspectives on life. So forever change. You asked about change earlier. Forever change, forever changing. And I think that I've definitely woven through traditional foundational astrology or Western astrology. I've woven into evolutionary astrology, which is probably where a lot of my work direction went for quite a long time. And then, I've explored the Mayan calendar. I've explored so much like the Vedic, all that kind of thing, and just found where the sweet spot is that I am here to channel, translate, navigate, and being comfortable and owning, the fact that I do love this passionately, but I also am trained to do this now, so that's part of what I love, is what can I explore next kind of thing. Yeah. Yeah.
I think I've sorted it. I can't do Instagram at the same time. It just goes weird. It doesn't actually let me mute one or the other. It just echoes and delays. That's really weird.
That's
Oh
fine.
well, I'll
That's
just
all
stream
right.
it there later. It's
Yeah.
fine.
That's no worries. That's no worries. That's fine. Yeah.
Okay, so actually, I'm thinking I'm just going to go there next. So I was going to ask you about spiritual seasons, but we kind of were going through that. I could hear little bits of what you were saying, and
Mm.
that's really cool. As we're now
Mm.
in Aquarius season, and so I was going to ask you, based on oh yes, so what has actually, I think you're kind of looking at this anyway, but what
Yeah.
has astrology taught you in some respects about yourself and your life and everything going forward? Because actually it's not just about what we learn from books and what we learn from our studies and that sort of thing, but actually we learn a lot through client work and just seeing things, the transits going on and everything else. Just intrigued about what it taught you so far.
And personal experiences, like I've just come through my Pluto square. It'll go back to it. I'm at 29-degree Libra. So I've just literally been through 29-degree Capricorn, which is my Pluto square, right? And we all know, as an astrologer, that's one of the major kind of transformational seasons in your journey. And it happens between 38 to 40 for everybody. So before I got to this point, I could have a intellectual understanding. I could understand and, have compassion for what my clients were going through. I could observe their transformational cycles, but to actually live it and go through that over the past 2 years, now I have a very different appreciation for what the Pluto square, this is an example for what the Pluto square can do, in that rhythm and in that chart cycles. So what I have probably learnt the most, and it's not just, from the last 2 years, but Pluto is the ruler of my chart as well, being Scorpio rising. So transformation was deep diving, very, very young age and on the way out, and, like just waves of it. And I think that over time, I learned how to trust the process, trust the seasons, trust that even if it feels like you're in the darkest depths of despair, you can't find the light, you can't navigate, you can't, picture or vision what it could look like from the experience you're having. Like, there is always parts of your chart, parts of the transiting sky that are on your side, that are actually there to help you navigate that shadow work, help you navigate the depths of those transformational seasons. Like, if I was to look personally again, like just recently, I've had Uranus on my moon while going through the Pluto square, which has been just deeply shifting, shaking, intense inner processing, intense inner work, karmic cleansing. But there's also been my Jupiter trine. So I've also, had this just beautiful Jupiter trine there to help expand and help me grow, spiritually through what, my experiences have been. So, whenever I'm looking at a chart, and if somebody comes through, in transformational changing seasons, and I'm always helping guide through that, but looking for what is there to support the individual through those processes as well. And that's from personal experience of feeling like, Saturn return is hard, or Saturn square is hard. Like, yeah, okay, but it's asking you to step up and step into a new phase of life, a new chapter. And I have a very compassionate nature. So I've also, through counseling and that type of thing, learned how to hold space for myself, number one, because, I've experienced a lot, but also how to hold space and how to, help people through those feelings that are uncomfortable, that are unknown. It's trust the process. So if there's anything, trust the process. That's the biggest message, I guess, that I get from astrology now, you know, having seen and observed and experienced a lot, is just knowing that the timing of things is so intrinsic to your whole big picture, like not right now, but to the big picture, where you've come from. So a lot of my sessions will go back. We'll go, well, what happened here? And what, you know, what part of this? And intuitively you can pick up, you know, like you're an intuitive as well, right? So we can, if you're an intuitive, you can also really sense the knowing, or receive the message, or the goosebumps, you know, that come through in a moment. It's like, that's it. That is so confirming and, you know, just affirming for people as well. So yeah, definitely map back, map forward for the present, and then trust the process, because that's where astrology can, as a timeline tool, and an evolutionary tool, can help you see that it's part of your big picture.
Yes, definitely.
Very important.
I mean, there was a lot there. So much there. Just thinking, well, Uranus awakening things and shaking things up, and that's the modern ruler of Aquarius, and we're just like, right, okay, we are in the space to shake things up, and things might be shaken up on the political stage, and with all the Pluto energy, it's like, right, where's the power? What do we need to heal? What's being brought to the surface? There's just so much there. But then also, as you say, if you're able to do what in astrology we call forecasting techniques, but there's also lots of different things and layers beyond that. But if you're able to look back and you're able to look forward and support the client in the moment, because actually in the moment is where they are. That's where they're coming to you. That's where they need the support. And it's a case of, well, we can't live your future for you. We can't erase the past, but we can support you here in this moment. And actually in this moment, what do you need?
Yes.
As a human.
That's
not
it.
What your chart says, but as a human. And then where can we look at the little echoes and nuance to support you?
100% spot on. Yeah, I feel that. And you know, sometimes it is just a simple conversation or a different perspective on the journey that helps somebody feel seen, feel valued, feel understood. Like, I think that's where a lot of my client feedback is like, oh, like that confirms something, that affirms something. I feel seen, I feel understood through this. Thank you. You know, like that's where I guess I feel, you know, part of my astrology is to celebrate yourself fearlessly, like love yourself fearlessly, like know yourself in ways that will never shift or shake that connection you have to your core being. Like that is what I celebrate, you know. And I feel like a moment with a client, with somebody who is experiencing that, and just hold space for it. Like that's so important. Yeah. And I like, yes, you're right. We can see the forecast. We can see, you know, what's coming, but there's so much free will, and there's so much, you know, like I always say, okay, if you want to, you know, use the Jupiter trine transit coming up, like you're not going to get the most from that if you're going to, you know, not put yourself out there to receive, not do the intention work to manifest what you're looking for. You know, like there's a lot of self-responsibility that you can help coach and navigate into or mentor into sessions as well. Like it's personal responsibility. But at the end of the day, like, yeah, we have these tools, but everyone's an individual, and everybody's can work with, you know, their chart in whichever way they see fit in the moment. Yeah. I'm here to like fire up, like, yes, you can. Yes, you can get through this. Yes, you can do this. Like, let's do it in bright, colorful, and creative ways. Like, let's make it abstract. Shift out those patterns and those traditions and what you think is holding you there and what this is. Like, let's just totally break through that. And we're going to use art to do it. Like, that's a lot of where I come from. Yeah, tell stories. Like, just totally express yourself. You know, freedom, liberation, all of the Pluto and Aquarius themes right now. Yeah.
I was just thinking we need to paint the stars, both on the sort of canvas, but also in people's lives, and show them actually with compassion everything is possible.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, 100%.
So how did you realise your passion and your talents in art?
Oh, that's a good question. Like I come from, I guess what you would say, like my mum was a very much a creative. She was more of a seamstress, but like just beautiful creations and stuff like that. My older sister, she was a creative. Like I guess from a very young age, I was supported to be creative, like, and there was no like, oh, creativity is not going to get you anywhere. Like it was surrounded by it. So that was cool. I guess like, it was just a way for me to make things that I loved, like it very healing, like like I had a couple of early things happen where art was a tool that really helped with my mental health, with my just feeling a sense of color in life, not black and dark and all those kinds of things. I broke my back once. I was in a wheelchair for 9 months, and I was an athlete. I was very active, very social, and one of the first things my mum did when I got home from hospital and we were unknown how long it would take for me to heal was she brought me, I remember, a whole bunch of beads. I made necklaces galore, and she brought me all these art tools, and I was painting. It was my freedom moment. Like I very much have had many free to color moments in my journey. And not only that, I feel like I worked at an art gallery when I was at university. I taught art classes, to like, it was just a very natural part of who I was. But I guess I never thought that art could be my full career when I was younger, like that was something that I just did as a hobby, like, or I did at work sometimes. I was more focused on, I guess, the psych world and how to develop those tools early on. But I remember even like living in, like I've lived all around the world, but living in Montreal, I had this one taped bit of, really heavy, thick watercolor paper, which is what I used to do my art on, very mixed media. It sat on the kitchen table, like the kitchen table, taped to the kitchen table for, I reckon, more than 12 months. Like it was a very long time, and I would add to it and I would add to it and like this and that. So whenever I feel a need to really break through, break free, express something that's internal that I don't have words for, or I don't have a safe place to share things, like art, an abstract flower, when you look at my art, has, maybe looks beautiful, but on the inside, maybe there's a real piece of like what I'm wanting to share, but don't have a safe place for sometimes. Like that's just natural artist life, I think. Like, a lot of natural artists are like that. So yeah, for me, it wasn't until 2018, 2019 that I actually left my job and went all in as an artist and astrologer. Like I just was like, I'm done. And I'll be open and honest, like there was a bit of a breakdown moment. I was moving through some very deep personal cycles, with lost baby or the surgeries, and like I had more free to color moments, like there was a lot happening, and art healed me. Art was part of my healing journey. And so I went and studied art therapy because I was like, okay, well, if I'm going to go, like, what am I going to do now? I've just quit my job, like I'm going to take time to heal myself. Yes. But like art was the first thing that I added into my daily routines. But I'd also through, that breakdown moment, wasn't that I'd lost my way with knowing who I was, but I had definitely not celebrated myself in full color for quite a while. I was working in corporate. I was working towards somebody else's values in their systems, in their like, and I'm not that person. And I've always been, a bit scattered in just trusting and knowing where to go. But then when it got to a point where it's like, what am I going to do? There's two things I know, art and astrology. That's it. And it was like an opening moment for me to just trust again and build that confidence to know that I can make this my whole future now. Like there's, and my tower moment was 2019, before COVID, and my tower moment was that, right? So then I was at markets, I was doing all these kind of things. I was just loving it. I built my website because astrology had been like, things that I was doing on the side, but not like my full expression of life. And then COVID came. So then we were shut down. I was like this, so I had to adapt and adapt and adapt. But again, continually trusting myself through those processes of just knowing that this is valuable and this is actually something I can put into a service offering together that, yeah, it's unconventional, unique, and definitely now with art therapy coming to life a lot more, it's celebrated in a different way. But when I talk to people about using art and astro together, they're like, how does that work? You know, like some people love my art, some people want to know my art, some people want to buy my art, but as soon as they know when I'm an astrologer, they're like, oh, hang on, what's in here? I'm like, hey, like it's just all together. Others love it. Others just love astrology, aren't interested in the art. But when you combine the two, that's where I know like that special part of what I can help a client with comes to life. Definitely. Yeah.
So how does that work then?
Sure. So in a session, you know, it does start with the foundational tool of astrology, right? But depending on the client, depending on their circumstance, it might just be mentoring some daily art practices into their life, into their wellness cycles, into their, you know, to help, I guess, shift thought patterns, to help express what they're going through, express what they need to say. But it's that quiet time too. Sometimes it's the quiet time to come back and just remove the busy world and just focus on intentional creating soul expression, like what's coming to life. And it will totally depend on the client as to what tool, like what art tool we're using as well. You know, like some clients prefer clay, some clients, you know, want to do watercolor. I'm a very like, let's throw paint at the wall kind of person. And when I get those sorts of clients, it's like, how good does it feel to not have a line to color in, to not have a box to be in, to just throw art, to just put color, abstract, like who cares what it looks like? Does it feel good to do it? Does it feel good in this moment to just like get it out? And then, as I said, like more refined or defined processes, depending on the client, depending on how many sessions they want as well. But yeah, you know, and I have the Art and Astro Social Club now too. So, you know, part of that is freestyle art, like bring whatever you want to work on. You do it from where you are. We'll talk astro. Everybody's in this creative energy, in this creative flow, like like the whole world's gone. We're in conversations, abstract thinking. It's, you know, removing the boxes or the limitations or the right brain, you know, massaging the like it's all kind of naturally happening without having to make too much of an effort. Like I know, like, you know, it's, oh, I have to get my art tools. I have to get it. You don't, like, make your breakfast look colorful. You know, like you know, make your smoothie bright purple today. Get more blueberries into it. You know, put a flower at your front door. Go get a vase. Like, there's so many things that people don't particularly think of that are creative tools, art tools that can be so valuable to our health and well-being. You know. Like I wear red when the moon's in a fire sign. Like I just naturally, and it's something like, you know, I wouldn't walk in under a Sagittarius moon tonight and put a black on, like, you know, like, oh, like I'm not connecting. Like those are the things that I use in my everyday, that are maybe a bit weird to some, but make sense to others. So yeah, like it's a whole world of creativity, you know, and whatever just feels connecting, feels good, that's what I'm here for. Like there's no this, like that, this or that. Like it's like what feels good for you kind of thing, you know? And there's no right or wrong in art. I don't believe it. There's no right or wrong, unless you like want to put clay in the kiln and you don't make it properly, you know, it'll blow up. But you know, when it comes to like abstract art, there's just let yourself be free. It's freedom as well, you know. So yeah, those sorts of things. Totally client dependent though. Yeah. And it'll come to me in a session. I'll be like, oh, you know, and then I see things as well in sessions. So, you know, and I also do soul art. So like, you know, there's the auric colors, the things that are moving, there's symbols. So something will come up and be like, hey, have you ever tried Zumba? Have you ever tried going to dance? Like let's, you know, and I can picture that and pick those pieces up through sessions as well. Yeah. So
I mean, I dabble a little bit in sacred geometry. So, I mean, my grandpa taught me how to basically use curves and straight lines
yeah,
to make a bit of art. And I was thinking, oh, that's really cool. So I was
yeah,
forever drawing the seed of life flower and
yeah.
then painting it up with some like pencils or some felt tips or whatever. But now I've got watercolor pencils that I want to really use more, and lots of little things like that.
Yeah. Now, sacred geometry might be a bit different because there is degree points and there's that sort of thing to, but I love that that's a way that you connect to art, and then bringing the watercolor into it. I'd love to see some of that combined. That would be beautiful.
Yeah, I need to find the time to do that bit as well, the actual watercolor bit on the top of it.
Yes, explore it. Yeah, definitely.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm with you on the using colors, and for me it's crystals as well. So
Yes.
I've got, I don't know whether you can see, but I've got an amber ring with
Uh,
3 different shades on it,
yeah.
and that reminds me about my creativity. And then I've got where is it, a labradorite ring reminding me to
Beautiful.
actually trust what's deep within me, like the waters of my soul in a way. It's kind of like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Labradorite's a beautiful part for that. My biggest
Mm,
that I use it's purple. Like, purple is the spiritual nature too. Like it's colorful, but like when I gaze into this, like it's a big amethyst piece. Like this is my
yeah,
Scorpio cave, right? This is like when I'm in session and I'm, deep gazing into this, it's like, whoa, like things come through. But Taurus moon too. I've always got crystals in my pocket. Like I've always, they're always carrying with me. But I love that. I
yeah,
love the color coding works for you as well. Color is,
yeah,
our brains channel, like the neurons, like they work different when you add things like color, when you add, like you take a moment to really look at something deeply, like even little color cards that I send people off with. You're sitting at your desk at work and you're feeling fired up and you're feeling like this, like here's a nice serene blue, it's got a nice message on it, and just give yourself 3 to 5 minutes of just calming into that, and like allow that just color to wash over. Um, you know,
have some celestite for that.
I love that. Yes, yes, yeah, beautiful, very cool.
Anyway, back
Yeah,
onto track with some other things I'd love to ask
yes,
you.
yeah,
We briefly talked about healing. So is there other modalities of healing in your holistic work that you put into your client work, as it were? If you know
yeah.
what I mean.
Yeah, no, I do. Yeah, like what's in my toolkit kind of thing.
Yeah.
So like Reiki's in my toolkit as an
Mm.
energy healing tool. I have done like some shamanic healing training. I have done like flower essence and herbalism type thing. And that's where sometimes like it'll come through in a plant, like, it'll intuitively come through in a plant for somebody, which is just random things come through in my sessions. Honestly, like there's just, yeah, expect the unexpected. What sort of like, yeah, outside of like those foundational, like the crystal work, yeah, I mean, I guess combined with my counseling and holistic therapy, yeah, that's pretty much how I combine most of it. I haven't given like one-on-one just Reiki sessions for a long time, as an example, because Reiki being so channeled, like I'm beyond, like I'm somewhere else with that now. Like I don't know how to explain what I see. Like it's 3D, it's 4D, it's 5D. It's like, it's a whole pattern, a whole art on its own. Yeah, and then like, just sacred connection work. There's a bunch of different workshops and stuff along the way that I've studied in. Yeah, and it all just contributes and makes sense. But I do refer my clients to a lot of other people as well. Like you know, I would suggest, like, you know, going and getting an intentional craniosacral massage or intentional acupuncture, or, you know, go and see, you know, a naturopath about this or something like that. So I know my boundaries, I know my limits, I know where I do my best work, and then having those networks outside of that to redirect people or give them, you know, rather than just being like, you probably need, like, you know, knowing how and maybe suggesting different ways to help through those healing patterns. Very important. Yeah, I don't own it all 100%. This is just one part of the journey for my clients, definitely. Yeah. And drum, like creative arts in different ways, like drumming workshops and that type of thing. Like, so I do drumming workshops, art workshops, like, you know, so there's different parts, like, and I would suggest to somebody, like, you know, if you're feeling like you've lost the spark, then come back to the drum, come back to your sensor, come back to this. Here's my session coming up, or my, you know, that type of thing as well. Yeah.
Oh, I'd love to be part of your drumming workshops. That sounds really amazing.
They're fun. They'll be coming back in March this year.
Yeah.
I'm in Meanjin, Brisbane, Queensland, Australia, if anybody's looking for it. But yeah, I haven't quite figured out how to do that online just yet.
Okay.
But maybe sometime soon. I mean, the Aquarian era definitely will, probably. But yeah, in person, usually if you are here from Brisbane or anything, I'm in the West End area, upcoming in March. So yeah.
Cool. I'm sure there will be somebody that was watching, hopefully, or in future.
Yes. It'd be nice. Hi. And Maggie.
Yeah.
But that's where the Art and Astro Social Club too, like, you know, I've wanted to be able to connect, because I do have clients all around the world, you know, like, and I've wanted to bring my community together. But I also love being in person. Like I that's why I love the markets so much, you know, taking my art and creative, and I would do mini soul arts and mini astro readings at the markets as well, that type of thing. Because I just loved being with the people, and that's my community. So I've just decided, like, let's try and bring it online, but then I'll still be doing outside of the online space, my in-person workshops and that type of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, so people can buy some of your art on your website as well, can't they?
Yeah, I've got a few original pieces from the last exhibition still available, but there's prints as well. So most of my art you can buy in print form. And I have just reset up. We've moved just before Christmas as well. So my art studio has been packed up for about 2 months, trying to find the new space. And literally just this weekend, my husband and I totally took it all out. Now I have my studio back. So I'm ready. There'll be a new exhibition coming very soon. But it's when I create like personal exhibitions, there's always like a story. So like this piece behind me, for example, was a part of 9 pieces, and each piece had a role in the whole story. So, you know, when I took people to see the art and that type of thing, like this goes to this, that's the story and the progression. Yeah, so I'll be doing another collection very, very soon. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, every so often you see a little glimpse of, is it gold leaf or something on the background of part paint? Yeah.
In this one? Yeah. Gold leaf in there. There's also some gold splatter paint in there. Yeah. And that's just to give it dimensions as well. Like, you know, and for this particular exhibition, like, it was about feeling like not royal. I don't want to say royal, but like, you know, like this was literally like chaos at the garden party. Like this was like, and so like even through the most chaotic times, there's always like a silver lining, but like there's the gold, which is like your higher self, like your higher being. And it just adds a bit more of a dimensional layer to the story. I don't know how I feel about it, but yeah, gold. Yeah, and some paintings, like I'm like, no, don't put any on, and I'm like, I have to. Yeah. So there's that too. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
So have you had any? I think you mentioned that sort of some like personal struggles and things, but have there been any like business ones that you've had to work through and How have you overcome those any like challenges and things?
Yeah, sure. Online space as one of my business challenges. I'm just such a natural, like I want to touch, I want to smell, I want to taste, like, that's my Taurus moon too.
Taurus moon, yeah, I was just gonna say.
Yeah. And in the 6th house. So there's that too. And my Mercury is right there as well. But like I used to do blogging, regular blogging. But for some reason, when I shifted into online, Instagram, Facebook, I started writing just blog style, wasn't showing up as myself. It wasn't showing up as my business. But when I took that transition of leaving my job and then knowing that I was going to take Mapping Mary Pasita into the business world, my whole energy shifted in how I presented information, how I presented myself. Like I had to really overcome the fears of being seen for who I was, being seen for what I did. Like, I can have a room full of people and I can chat, like, I can talk through everything and why I love it. But when it came to online, it was like, boom. It's like I had freeze moments of like, I can write, but like to actually own who I was and what I was doing was overcoming a lot of that, self-taught negative behavior towards when people used to call it voodoo or call it this, or it wasn't valuable, and it's like, well, now I'm going to stand up here and just be all of me doing it. But it took me a good little while to break through that feeling of being seen for what I was doing, and would people still value me, So that's very personal part of it. But then navigating the technical side, not getting things like, my email list set up properly at the beginning, not getting the back end system set up properly. Like I really could have done better, like, even for my art and like the shop online and that type of thing. Like I never fully got all of my market stock online, which it should have been and easy to access for people, so that whole space, when it came to, like I've been a part of, holistic hubs kind of thing. So like clinic space, that type of thing. And when it came to doing the business mentor meetings or something like that, I guess I still struggled in putting things like a marketing strategy or a business plan into what I do. Like it just didn't feel natural. But I felt like I had to follow the way that normal people thought business should be, when really I just flipped all of that and like, I'm just going to do it the way that I want to do it. Like, because when I started to feel like I had to follow different plans or processes that weren't mine, it's like the whole purpose of me going out and on my own and doing this as my world was to give me that freedom to be all of me, to not be stuck in a box or in a category or anything like that. So a lot of work there. And yeah, like definitely like time zones, things like that, like, trying to navigate that in my business has been somewhat of a struggle. But I mean, because I've had so many personal things happen and like big deal life stuff over the last 4 years, just remaining consistent in my business has been difficult, I would say. Like my client work, for a couple of years there, and maybe especially when I had Marcy, my daughter, and that sort of thing fluctuated. And then it's like you have to rebuild those connections again. Even in the online world, like I took a couple of months off last year when I had to go through something to really just focus on self-healing. And then I had to pick myself up again. So then there's the algorithms and there's all this. So like, yes to, the big picture of what I'm doing, but gosh, sometimes being in business can be hard. Like, and I didn't want this to be a hard like I'm willing to do the work, but I didn't want it to be a hard process because it's such a natural part of my passion, what I enjoy and what I do. So I rewrote everything, went back to my own value systems, went back to, and I do that regularly every quarter. Like, I set myself every quarter, I check in with my values. Is what I'm delivering to my clients aligned with my values? Are my workshops coming up aligned with the seasons and values? So there's definitely planning. There's more planning in what I do now, whereas before it was just complete freestyle. So yeah, definitely that. And then the fear, overcoming fears, like, you know, so that's been the journey. Yeah, it's okay. There's been times, I think there was a couple of moments probably in the last 4 years where I'm just like, I'll be open and honest, but I was like, burn it down, like, start again, fresh. And it's like, no, absolutely not. What are you doing? Like, what are you thinking that for? Just adapt, flex, adapt, evolve, adapt. We are not meant to be where we were 4 years ago. We're not meant to be where we were 20 years ago, So really working on moving with the flow of what mapping Meripacita becomes is always exciting. Yeah.
Ooh, I love that. I'm going to show that. Somebody's written a lovely comment for us. So the stars are our past, present, and future.
Well, yes,
I wholeheartedly agree.
Thank you for sharing that. Yay, somebody's here with us.
Yeah. We have had a few hellos in the chat, which is quite nice. So.
Oh, I can't see the chat. I don't know whether. Hang on. I missed that part. Ah, yeah. Hey. Oh, cool. Hello. Yeah, nice. Yeah.
What was I going to say? Oh, yeah, there were a few things coming through. I was thinking of at one point in our chat a lot earlier, you really relayed sort of the hero's journey in tarot, and then you sort of talked about your tower moment and healing from that. I was thinking there's like the whole of tarot and astrology putting together here. It's just building one piece by piece, and it's just really beautiful. Particularly with what you were just describing, I was thinking of the magician. We've got all the tools within our toolbox, and it's a case of, well, how am I going to use these for my highest good, but also for doing no harm, but also, it's kind of, I've got all these tools, and then it's starting again. So it's kind of like, as you're saying, every time you've gone through a transformational point, it's how do I rebuild myself? How do I start again with what I have and what I've learned? So
and where I'm at.
I'm at.
Definitely.
The definite acknowledgement there of, okay, yes, this is where I'm at.
Yeah.
It's and really cool.
So like coming back to center, like I have a workshop, back to center, back to self, like and that workshop goes through 12 pieces, which is essentially like the 12 houses as well. Like, and it's like you map your way all the way around, come back here and let's go again.
Yeah, I was thinking actually about your business name. So where did that actually come from? I know you're always talking about mapping the chart and that sort of thing. So I'm guessing it's somewhere in there. But what's Meripacita?
Meripacita is a little butterfly, transformations. So I was, when I was living in Central America, in Guatemala, that was actually my gifted name. So I didn't choose Meripacita, essentially. It was given to me. And then the mapping, well, I was doing so much blogging, traveling the world and doing different studies in and around places. So astrocartography is something that, I definitely was foundationally exploring a lot in my travels and that type of thing as well. So but it's about like soul mapping, and mapping your journey. Because I see pieces and how they connect and I'm like, okay, that makes sense now for you, that type of thing. Outside of chart mapping, like it's a bigger kind of world view, universal view, and picture of who you are. So the mapping Meripacita is literally me on the move, but also spiritually mapping Meripacita, little butterfly. My whole symbol is, if you've seen my logo, it's a butterfly and it's got a paintbrush and it's got the stars. And so mapping Meripacita, the art of life and astrology, that's how I launched my business, essentially. But as a blogger, I actually began Jules's Astro Map. That's and this was early 20s, so 17 years ago or whatever, 16 years ago. But Jules's Astro Map. And I had mapped where I wanted to go around the world and why I wanted to go there and study that type of thing. Like, I wanted to be in Seattle to go to Kepler College. Like, Rick Levine was a huge mentor in my journey because I could access his books, I could access his learnings, like that type of thing. So it was like on my bucket list, on my vision board kind of thing. And then like just mapping my way through that, I wanted to do the Mayan Sun Tour, which is all about the Tolkien calendar. And then like understanding, like the mapping of my own personal journey. I shared a lot of that. I don't do it in the same way anymore. I don't have that much time to blog as much. But yeah, so mapping Mary Preceded the Art of Life and Astrology, when I was looking for like, what am I actually going to register my business as? Like, what is it going to be? That's what came to life. Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. So we have a couple of questions. I mean, first of all, this person, Frequent Hughes, had said about how tarot, if you read the cards right, they hold a slot of knowledge if we just read them right. So that's pretty cool. I do agree. But also she's asked this question. So have you ever taken a photo of the stars and have a friend take a picture of them somewhere elsewhere in the world at the same time?
Oh, no, but I call this zorbing. Okay. All right. Not so much with a physical camera. But because a lot of my people, a lot of my closest and my dearest and my soul family, I guess, I've met along the way, we call it zorbing, where it's like you just go lay out under the sky. They'll lay out under the sky wherever they are, and you just have those chats. But it's like you're elevated into the same universe, if that makes sense. And it's like feeling like you're laying beside one another under the same sky, but theirs is different, mine's different. But yeah, so I love the idea of the photo, actually. That would be really cool. But yeah, I made up a word for it, zorbing. I don't know, so if I'm like, I'm going zorbing, it's like, that's
Yay.
A couple of my friends just know exactly what I'm talking about, so that's okay. Yeah.
That's really cool. So we're coming up near the hour, so I thought I would just ask you about your things you're most proud of and any achievements, and briefly how you sort of stay on track with manifesting any goals and dreams you have. So that sort of thing. I know it's a big couple of questions rolled in, but
That's all right. Okay, so what am I most proud of? I'm most proud that I just did it. Like, I just took the leap of faith. Had I have known what was going to happen in the last 4 years, as an example, I probably would have stayed in the safety of my job, what I was doing. It wasn't that bad a job. It was entertaining. It was fun. I was in learning development, HR. I was facilitating workshops. I was traveling all over, it was great. Met a lot of beautiful people. But had I have predicted, the COVID and the personal journeys would I have stayed there because it was a safe place? Potentially. But that leap of faith that I took really was the proudest moment, where I could set up my studio, set up my tent at the market, set up my brand and be like, this is it now. This is who I am. And then, sharing that with the world, that was a huge thing for me. I don't know, as I said, the Scorpio has always sometimes just been, I do this behind closed doors. I do,
Yeah.
And so how do I check in with that? Well, as I said, I love working with the actual astro calendar. So I work from March, through April and into the future. So I love doing seasonal work in, I know through Aries season, through Leo season, and through Sag season, that's when I do my best art, my most creative, my most radical kind of art. So I plan having, a week or 2 weeks of just no astro, focusing on art, as an example, because I know what that energy is giving me. So I kind of plan quarterly, seasonally, and I look at different workshops. Example, I'm not going to host a synastry chart workshop in Aries. Well, you probably should in Aries season, actually. But I'm probably going to do that more in Libra season, as an example. So in my business model, it's definitely more about what feels intuitively right in the moment, what connects, but having the discipline to actually hold myself accountable for setting things up or making plans and doing that is where I've got to really, you know, keep myself grounded, because sometimes I can get a bit too far gone. So it's like, okay, Jules, ground, back to the daily routines. My moon and Mercury there in the 6th house, back to that. And I guess navigating that with Marcy too, having a 2-year-old, is like the time. So my husband and I have definitely shifted and shaken a lot of our routines to kind of create space for each other. He's a musician, he's a creative as well. So, you know, and he's a beautiful human. So we're both Geminis. And that kind of becomes a little bit tricky because we've both got dual natures that just wants to do. Yeah. So yeah, definitely seasonal, planning quarterly, checking in with my chart regularly, moments that come through unexpectedly, or, you know, the ahas, or the holy shit, that just happened, or I just met that person and had this conversation, going back to your chart and it's like, well, how does that actually map into this big picture that I'm trying to do right now? That kind of cool stuff. Yeah. Trying to keep on track with my monthly newsletter as an example. You know, like those little basic things that lead to the big picture of how it all works. I'm going to try take a photo. Definitely. Yeah. Nice. Cool.
Yeah. I have a new moon and full moon blog that I have little snippets that I put on my social feed, as you've probably seen. And then I've seen yours as well. I love reading yours as well. It's just like, and Jules has put hers up too. Let me have a little read.
I loved that 2024 one you did with the keywords and then the cards. Like, I really connected so nice. I was like, oh, I love that. That was really cool. And that was a lot of work in that. So well done to you. But I really valued and appreciated that. You hit the nail for all of it. My Gemini, my Taurus, my Scorpio. I was like, yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So thank you.
It took longer than I wanted it to, but yeah.
Some things do though, right? And that's where I've really
you think, I just do it all in one hit.
And I don't like pushing through anymore. Like that whole push through, got it. Like, I'm so done with that in life. Like, if it's flowing, it's flowing. There's certain responsibilities that I have to make, but also too, I don't feel like if it's not free flowing, then is it the right time for this actually? So yeah.
I mean, if people want to, they can check them out on Instagram or on the YouTube shorts. So they're still there.
Yeah, definitely go check out Emily's. They're very cool and they're very, very insightful, very spot on. I felt like it was just like a nice little cloud of, like a gift. It was a gift. It was like really lovely that you gave all of your community that. So thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, it was really cool actually to look at all the ingress dates. So if we're talking astrology, it's basically when the sun moves into each sign. So I looked at each of those throughout the year and then thought, right, are there any key aspects that give me a keyword? So sort of intuitively thought, right, is there a word that sums up that? And then pulled a card and the card was saying the same sort of thing. This is amazing. The astrology and the tarot are the same.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, absolutely. And that's when you know, like, and that's the reaffirming that we're here to do what we're doing. And it may be unique and unconventional and, you know, but it is valuable and we're doing it. And we get all those messages along the way that just clarify and make sense of why we're doing what we're doing as well. So
exactly. Yeah. For anybody who would like to join your social club or would like a reading with you or anything else you have to offer, where's the best place for them to find you?
Yeah, come on. So I've got my website, which is mappingmarypasita.com. Very simple. You can jump on to follow me on Instagram or Facebook. Those are the three main ways. And you can DM me, but there's booking service as well on my website. And you can see what I've got up there available in the sessions. I'm redoing a lot of packages at the moment, getting ready for the Astro New Year. But yeah. And if you're unsure, you know, what kind of service offering, then chat, DM, like just connect, because that's like, well, what's happening right now, and we can make the most of the time that we have together. I'm so about that. Like, I want to make sure I make the most of the time we have together. Yeah.
Oh, amazing. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, and I'm hoping that other people will see just as much beautiful value that we've had in this talk, and yeah, I'm sure they will.
Thank you so much, Emily.
Thank you. If you want to stick around for a minute or two or whatever afterwards without being live, you're welcome to. But for everybody else, thank you for joining us, the people who joined us live. And for anyone in the future, we're also very grateful. See you.
Thank you. Yeah, wonderful. Bye-bye.